Hi everyone, thanks for joining in. I'm excited to have Rachel Johns joining me again. Hi Rachel, it's always great chatting to you.
Hi, Jackie. Same to you. It wasn't that long ago. I think we were talking about Bridget. So,
Yeah, I know. So just a bit about Rachel, for those who don't know Rachel. Rachel's an English teacher by trade, a mum 24/7, a Diet Coke addict, a cat lover who is obsessed with the dog. Have you got your Diet Coke there?
I've got a can on the bench from earlier in the day. I mean, on my desk from earlier in the day, but no, I have my Diet Coke earlier. So, yeah.
She really sleeps and never irons. Sounds very familiar.
Although I just woke up from a nap, so there we go. That's how I get through. I'd have naps here and there.
And she lives in the Swan Valley with her hyperactive husband, three mostly gorgeous heroes in training, two ravenous cats, a cantankerous bird, and a very badly behaved dog. And your latest book, I'm trying to show my horns as well to be like you, is The Bad
Yeah.
Bridesmaid. Everything's disappearing.
Oh, the Bad Bridesmaid up. I've got both covers. I just went and grabbed that
Oh,
because
okay. Is that the
people from all around the world. So
is that
that's
the
the Aussie
US?
cover, and that is the UK and the US cover.
Oh,
Mine
okay. I haven't
very
seen that
soon.
one before.
Yeah, no,
That
that's
looks
I
very
don't think that only
sexy.
comes out on Valentine's Day. Actually, I thought it was out in the US and UK, but I don't think it is yet. Anyway, it was out this week.
Okay. Looks that's a very sexy cover, it looks.
Yeah, no, I do like it. I like them both in
Mm,
different ways.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I recently finished The Bad Bridesmaid. I have to just say one thing. I got married myself in an island wedding.
Oh yes, I remember seeing the photos. Was it? I
Um,
hope it was a bit
It
smoother than the
wasn't,
wedding in my
yeah, it
book.
wasn't in Norfolk Island though, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I really enjoyed the setting of The Bad Bridesmaid, and it was great to see Fred back again.
Yeah, yeah, no, I had a lot of fun writing Fred's character in the first book. Never planned on actually writing a full story about her, but some
Mm,
characters like that, they kind of demand your attention.
yeah. So do you want to tell us a bit about The Bad Bridesmaid? I think you've
Sure. So
just
as
come
you
off a
mentioned,
tour,
yeah,
so I'm sure you've yeah got it
yeah,
all
I know.
down.
I should have the elevator pitch down pat by now, but I don't think I do because I always take longer. So anyway, I'll try. The Bad Bridesmaid is linked to my last rom com, The Other Bridget, even though you don't need to have read The Other Bridget to read this one. But if anyone who has read The Other Bridget will recognize the main character, Fred, as being one of the fun secondary characters in The Other Bridget. So Fred is I'm wearing this top, I don't know if you can see, it says anti
Oh,
romantic. Fred is an anti romantic. She does not believe in love, plans on never, ever, ever getting married. She's not looking for the one. She kind of just, I'm calling her, she's a bit of a player. She likes dating and having fun with guys, but she makes sure they know that there's no strings attached and it's not going anywhere. And the book begins when Fred's mother announces she's getting married for the sixth time.
mm.
Yeah, I said
So
that
it's
right.
no wonder Fred's like that about marriage and
Exactly. And that's kind of actually how I'll talk about the rest of the story in a sec, but that's how this book came about. I told you that I wasn't ever planning on writing a Fred story.
mm,
And then when I was doing the edits for The Other Bridget, my publisher said, look, I get what you're doing. I can see you sort of having this opposites attract thing with going with Bridget. So Bridget is your romantic. She loves love. She's desperate to find the one and get married, live happily ever after. And I can see you doing the different with Fred. She said, but sometimes Fred comes across as a little bit too prickly. Could you
mm,
just tone her down slightly? And I quite liked it, but I thought, okay, I'll see what I can do. So I wrote one line in there, and it was Bridget had only ever seen Fred cry twice. Once when her cat died, and once when
mm,
her mum got married for the fifth time.
mm.
And I suddenly, because they were just the two things I pulled out of my, wherever I was like, why would people cry? And then I wrote that, and I was like, oh, that's why Fred is the way she is. I just
Mm,
thought she was this really
mm,
strong, independent character who's happy in her singledom, and she
mm,
is to an extent, but she also, a lot of her views have been shaped by her upbringing. So yeah, I discovered that, and then I thought immediately of, I don't know why, this is how, you know, ideas work. They just sort of form from all different things. And immediately I must have thought of The Parent Trap, one of my favourite movies from when I was a kid, the
mm,
original one with Hayley
mm,
Mills. I love that movie, how they got up to all the shenanigans trying to get their parents back together, but also how the twins in that movie were trying to get their dad not to, marry this young thing that they weren't really, they didn't want in their life. And I thought, it would be fun to do a grown-up reverse Parent Trap, where instead of two people trying to get their parents together, they're trying to get their parents apart. And that is kind of what this book is about. Fred meets the groom's son, Leo, the week before the wedding on Norfolk Island. As you mentioned, it's a destination wedding. And as well as a little bit of attraction to Leo, they also have a good chat and realise that they're both opposed to the wedding. So they decide to put their heads together and try and stop it. So yeah, that's the premise.
Yeah, and a lot of fun is had along the way.
Yeah, hopefully for the readers and the people in the book.
Yeah, and you've, like I said, you've just come back from a big tour of The Bad Bridesmaid. I was lucky to see you at Penrith Library. It was a full house there.
Yeah, that was a great event. That really warmed my heart, seeing all those people just smiling and being happy about, reading my books and other books too. Yeah.
Did you have anything funny that happened, or any funny feedback from anyone that you can share with us?
I'm trying to think. I don't think I have had any, funny, crazy things happen or on the tour, or any funny feedback. I've had some great. Oh, hang on. No, the best thing that did happen on the tour. So this was quite amusing. So librarians, as I'm sure you'll agree, are amazing people, and libraries are great. That's the whole reason I wrote The Other Bridget, as a tribute to libraries. And Fred is also a librarian. I was at Mount Barker Library in South Australia. And so on the Australian cover, it's not on the UK cover, but on the Australian cover, you see the groom is wearing board shorts. And there's a reason in the book why you find out in the book why he's wearing board shorts. But at Mount Barker Library, the librarian's husband, amazing soul that he was, dressed up as the groom and served drinks to everyone. And then, she was like making him take all these photos with me, and he was just over it, I think. But it was very sweet of him to dress up. So yeah, librarians do, really go above and beyond, and I definitely saw that again on the tour.
Yeah, no, it's really funny. And we've got quite a few people watching, so just wanted to remind those watching, if you do have any questions for Rachel, please
I'm an open book.
Type them. And it's Valentine's Day coming up, and I have to ask you, what are your Valentine's Day plans?
Well, it's really funny because my husband, who's between jobs at the moment, was saying today, I mentioned something about Valentine's Day, and he said, "Oh, do you want a Valentine's gift?" And I was like, "No, we don't really do that." I'm not sure why. I think it's just happened over the years. But I'm actually going to be in Brisbane for the Blush Festival. He's like, "Oh, you're right, romance, but you're not really into romance." But no, I'm very excited because on Friday night, so Valentine's Day, I will be watching as part of Blush Festival. It's the opening night of Blush Festival, which is a romance books and film festival in Brisbane. And I get to go and see Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. So that's exciting. Doing on Valentine's Day, and I reckon it might be my favourite Valentine's Day ever.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Could you tell us, what would you say, if you could be one of your characters? Like, you've had so many great characters. If you could actually be one of them for one day, who would you choose and why?
Across all my books?
Yeah.
That is such a hard question. I'm trying to think. I probably should think of which is the hottest hero, and I'll spend that. I'm looking at my books on my wall here. I think it would probably be Flick from How to Mend a Broken Heart, because that book is set in New Orleans, which is one of my favourite places in the world, and so I'd love to go back for a day.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. And tell us a little bit about your retreat that's coming up. I think I've mentioned lots of times before that it gave me inspiration to do the Global Girls Online Book Club author lunch last year. So yeah,
which looks very, very good. Are you doing another one this year?
Oh, hopefully. I have to get organised and...
Let me know in advance and I might come over.
Yeah, sounds good.
So that's if you'll have me. Like you, I run an online book club. Mine's called Rachael John's Book Club, and I run it with my really great writing friend, Anthea Hodson. And this will be our third year we've done an in-person book club retreat. This year it's in Scarborough in Western Australia. And we've got heaps and heaps of authors coming. I keep forgetting off the top of my head. We've got Sarah Foster, we have got Penelope Janu, Natasha Lester, Anthea and I will be there, Sophie Green, Christina Wells, a whole heap of others. And we have so much fun. Oh, look, hello. Hey. We have so much fun at the retreats. You know, there's book panels, there's games, there's something we call author speed dating, which is the best. Everyone loves that. So, yeah, looking forward to it. There's still a few tickets available. So, if you go to RachelJohnsBookClubRetreat.com, you can check it out.
Yeah, and can totally recommend it. I've been to all of my grandson's loving my
I think he wants your horns.
Yeah, I think he does.
Are you a little devil?
You better put them on. There you go.
Are you a little devil? No. When I put them on my dog, and she stands still. She seems to not go anywhere. Them on her. She doesn't like it.
Yeah. I've got a question from Lisa. Lisa says, Rach, this is Lisa Darcy, who I'm sure you know.
Oh, yes, I know. Hi, Lisa.
She says, Rach, as you know, I holidayed with my mum on Norfolk Island a few years ago. Did you and your mum have fun on Norfolk Island? And did you really eat fresh food?
Yeah, I did have fun. It was really good. We were only there for 5 days, and I think we could have gone a little bit longer. There's lots of other things or tours I would have liked to have done. Yeah, I did eat fresh food because we ate mostly in the restaurants and stuff. So we were eating the produce that they made, although I'm not really into like the bananas and stuff. I didn't eat much fresh fruit, I must admit. And that is my fault. I know that I'm one of those fussy people that unless it looks like a banana, I don't want a banana. Like the banana I've known for years. But no, I really loved it. There's so many things I did. Like we went on a progressive dinner with, which was great. We actually got to eat in the houses of locals.
Oh, nice.
Houses. Yeah. So we went to, you know, entree in one house, and we heard all about their connection to Norfolk Island, how long they'd been there, and they cooked us a beautiful meal, and then we went to dinner in another place, and the same thing happened, and then dessert, and that was with a whole bunch of other like holiday makers. So that was really, really good, but I didn't actually go to the fish fry, which I talked about in the book, so I would like to go back and do that. Well, there's so many things I would like to go back and do.
Yeah, and Lisa also says the reason she asked is because when my mum and I were there, our tour guide, like Fred's, said that it was unfortunate that we'd miss the boat, so there would be no fresh food, and there wasn't. And I can relate to when I've been to Rarotonga 4 times now, and quite often. Where you got married? Yeah, and quite often they're very similar. They say, "Oh, sorry, there's no fries on the island at the moment, or there's no bacon." And last time we went, there was no petrol on the island.
Oh no. Oh dear. Well, yeah, I would like to be there. Like they all say that it's good to see all the produce coming in on the ship, so it would be nice to time that. What I find really weird was that there was no fresh milk in the shops. It's all UHT milk when they have cows on the island, and they're right of way. But anyway.
Yeah, that's funny. And could you tell us a bit about what you like yourself in a novel?
Oh, good question. I am really loving at the moment what I'm calling a quiet novel. I've also actually heard someone call it a plotless novel, which I think makes it sound, that's kind of unfair to these novels, I think, because they all have plots. Some are not like car chases and, you know, people escaping horrible earthquakes and all this. Sometimes I think the biggest plots come from within us, right? You know, like the biggest trauma, the biggest conflict comes from within ourselves and what we're hiding or what we, you know, want. And so I'm really loving books where it's very much focused on the relationships of the characters. Last year I particularly loved, oh my God, I think it's, I can't remember the name of this one. I'm looking at You Are Here by David Nichols, which is just like 2 characters going on a hike across UK, and it's not really that, you know, like there's not much happens, but they talk a lot. And then the other books I really, really loved was Sandwich by Catherine Newman and Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo. And both of these books are about sort of women, you know, experience. If I say them, it'll sound really boring, you know, because it doesn't sound like anything's happening. But these characters just had really complex, interesting interior lives and sort of going with them through that time was really great. So yeah, I forgot. So I really
Yeah.
like now. I guess I like character-based novels. That that's more important to me than a crazy plot. Although I do love reading crime, and often in crime novel, the plot is very important as well. So yeah, but to me, I still it's the characters that make a novel for me. I want characters that you can really they really feel like real people. And not cardboard cutouts. And I don't like boring characters. I want some interesting characters.
And sometimes if your life's like really, really crazy, which I'm sure yours is, that's the sort of thing that you want, really, is something a little bit less crazy as well.
Exactly. I really wish that I shouldn't say had the time, because of course I can choose what I read, but I would love to reread some books. So you're probably in a similar situation. Like you're always reading new books.
Yeah, there's too many, too many.
Yeah, and like while I love that and I want to read all the new ones, there's some books that I think, particularly when you're in a crazy, busy or stressful time, it's really nice to just dip into a book that you've loved before. It's feel like sort of visiting a familiar place, or visiting friends. So yeah, I wish I had more time actually to do that. I didn't have as many commitments, but then I keep throwing more commitments on my plate. Yeah, I've only got myself to blame, really.
And what are you up to at the moment with your writing?
So I'm actually, there's two things I'm working on at the moment. I'm working on in my next women's fiction novel, so more of contemporary rather than romance, or like just general fiction. And it's called The Lucky Sisters. Hopefully it's coming out in October, although that means I have to finish it by the end of March. I'm already late, but they're telling me it's definitely going to come out if I finish by the end of March. So that's what, after this tour, I've just got to knuckle under and focus on that. It's about twin sisters who are approaching their 50th birthday. They both they were adopted at birth, and one of them has always wanted to find out about their biological parents, and the other one adamantly does not. She's got kind of this gut feeling that it's better not to know. And then when their adopted mother dies and the dad's already passed away a long time ago, one of them is the one that wants to find out, decides, I'm doing it now. The other one says okay, but what they find out is super shocking. My little tagline is The Lucky Sisters is about adopted twin sisters who receive life-changing news just before their 50th birthday, and the very different ways they both react to it. And I'm really, really loving that. It's taking a little bit longer, but I think that's just some novels, demand that. And the other thing I'm super excited about, and also a little terrified, is I've just been offered a contract with a friend of mine. I don't know if you've read Mercedes Mercier.
Oh, yes. Yep. She's one of authors. Yeah.
Well, she is fabulous, and I love her two books, White Noise and Black Lies, I think it's called. And we're actually writing a crime romance series together.
Really? Oh,
it should be coming out mid next year. The series is called The Number One Insta Detective Agency. Yeah. And we're saying it's for those who want a little murder with their romance and those who want a little romance with their murder. So we're writing that together.
Wow. No, that sounds exciting.
So we're very excited, but also a little nervous because we've sold it on just 3 chapters. So we hope that we can pull it off.
And how do you go about writing with someone else?
Well, we're, just learning. I Googled a whole load of different co-writers to see how they kind of went about it. And we just sort of, I guess, fell into the one that felt most natural to us. So we work on Google Docs. And so we can both see, the progress of the novel, and then we're alternating chapters each. So we kind of, both of us, which I'm not sure is a good idea, both of us are pretty much intuitive, organic writers who don't necessarily plot, much. But we kind of mini plot a little bit way ahead. We also have an idea of who's the killer and that a little bit. And then we just write a chapter each, and then the other person comes back over that chapter and kind of tweaks and edits it. We just keep going back and forth and doing that. So we've only written 10,000 words. Yeah. But so far that's working.
Yeah. No, I can't wait for that. It sounds really exciting.
Yeah, we're super excited.
Yeah. And Lisa says, Rach, you're so prolific. Do you ever stop and wonder what's next? Or are you so busy writing that you just keep going to keep ahead of the curve? That's a good question.
No, well, I'm not ahead of the curve. That's the problem, Lisa. So I've actually been talking to my publisher about, the next few years and trying to plan things out. And I've been saying I want a break for a while, like just to not have 2 books a year. but then I add a third one in. So I don't really know. I'm definitely not staying ahead of the curve. And what was the question? I've forgotten now.
Well, do you just keep going?
Oh, well, yeah,
or
basically.
Do you stop and
I
think
stress out a lot, and then I think, what have I done? And then I just try and, hope that it all works out in the end. So, but each book, I'm very much now, like, as I said, I'm a bit late, well, quite a bit late on this next one. And I just sort of know that's okay, because to me, I just want to make sure I'm writing the very best book that I can, and I needed that time. And if that means pushing things back, then so be it.
Yeah. And Kylie wonders if there's going to be any more in your current series.
Oh, in the Bridget Fred world? Look, I learned something while I was away on tour. It may have come up that first night or in Penrith. But see, I stupidly didn't put any other single characters in that book apart from Fred. Which means, all the other librarians are kind of happily in relationships. So I would either have to toss a curveball and throw a bomb in one of their lives and either have a breakup or a death or something, which I'm not really sure I want to do. Someone did say maybe I should write. So in the first book, and it's referenced briefly, I think, in Fred's book, there is a senior book club at the library.
Yeah.
So maybe I should write, that book. So never say never. This is my schedule. You can't see it, but that's my schedule for the next. I'm booked now up to basically October 2029, and in there is no other Bridget book, but never say never.
Maybe you could squash one in there somewhere.
Yeah, just who needs sleep at all?
Yeah, exactly. And Nola wants to know what earrings you're wearing. You always have wonderful earrings.
These are just kind of little plain hearts, but they're really cute. My friend who's an author actually sent them to me, Kanina May.
Okay,
Not Kanina May.
Yeah,
Kanina
it's
May.
a bit confusing, isn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, I just really love them, and they kind of go almost with anything. Yeah.
And could you share with us what you like? Like, we all know you drink Diet Coke, but what about, have you got any favourite snacks while you're writing?
Not really. It changed. No, not really. I'm not a huge snacker. Well, I just eat a lot when I, sit down for a meal. So yeah, no, I don't really snack usually while I'm writing. I get to, I eat some cereal or whatever in the morning, and then I get to the middle of the day and I'm hungry. I try and push myself back as far as I can, because I found, so my writing predominantly happens in the morning. That's when I'm sort of at my best. And so I try and push my lunch back, because as soon as I've eaten something, I'm like, oh, I'm tired now. I have that post-lunch slump. And so, yeah, no, boring. Sorry, I don't really have anything. I know my friend Ellie Blake, I think, eats M&Ms and something, but no, I don't have anything.
Yeah. And Nola wonders how you write a plotless novel.
Yeah, well, you need to read a couple of the ones I've recommended, Nola. I think that's probably the best way. And as I said, I don't think saying it's plotless is fair, because there is a plot. It's just, as I said, that's why I like the term quiet novel. The plot is not, not necessarily, it doesn't, we often toss the word around high stakes, and that, there's got to be a lot to lose and stuff. And these novels do have high stakes, but they're high emotional stakes, rather than people are not necessarily going to, lose their job or their life if something goes wrong. But yeah, so yeah, read one of the ones I recommended, Nola, and you'll see. But I think actually the authors who can write these type of novels are the most, they're the most amazing, skillful writers, because to be able to write a story that is so character focused and really doesn't have a lot actually happening, but still grip the people and want people to keep turning the pages, that is very clever.
Yeah. And another question from Lisa. I'm loving your questions, Lisa. When you were younger, did you have any plans to be an author, and how did you decide to be an author?
Absolutely not. I didn't even read any books in high school, maybe a couple. I did okay at high school English, but I never ever thought of being an author. It's interesting, because I think it never crossed a lot of people's mind, even those people who were really big book lovers and bookworms, because we didn't see authors the same way, you do now. Like, all on social media, they've got websites, they're out there. We're putting ourselves out there all the time. People probably get sick of it. Whereas we never saw our favourite authors. It was almost like they didn't exist. So I never thought about that. But I always wanted to be a teacher, which I did become a teacher. I wanted to be a primary school teacher. I briefly wanted to be the newsreader for Channel 7 Perth, but the same person is still the newsreader now as was when I was primary school and high school. So I'm glad I gave up that dream and chose to try to become an author, which is also hard. But I think it's easier than becoming the newsreader for Channel 7, which is saying something. It was basically, a lot of people heard this story, so I don't want to, spend too much time on it. But I had a mad, passionate obsession in high school with this boy. I was obsessed with him all pretty much high school. Towards the end of year 12, we went out in year 12, and then towards the end of year 12, I accidentally dumped him. People say, how did you do that? Well, he said something that I wasn't 100% happy with one day, and I said, I don't think this is working out. Hoping he'd say, no, Rachel, you're the love of my life, don't leave me. But instead he said, yeah, I think you're right. So I accidentally dumped him, and I was heartbroken, as I think only you can be at kind of that age. I don't know how I got through my year 12 exams and all that, but for some strange reason, and I really don't know why, I started writing this book between finishing year 12 and starting primary school teaching, which I never ended up starting because I did a writing degree, which is a waste of time. I wrote this book about me and the boy, and it was everything we'd ever said to each other, right up to the point where I accidentally dumped him. Instead of accidentally dumping him, I gave him a horrific disease and I killed him off. And so I actually say that I think I came to writing through therapy. And I don't know about you, Lisa, but I've noticed that of the people I know who are writers, there's sort of two camps. There's those who have always wanted to write, as long as they can remember. And then there's the others who have just sort of started writing at some stage in their life, often because of some tragic thing that has happened to them or somebody around them. And so to me, it was therapy, but I caught the bug. And then it took me another 15 years to actually get published. And because probably I wasn't much of a reader, and you need to be a reader to be a writer.
Could you tell us a bit about how hard or easy it was for you to get that first book published?
Well, as I said, I think there was a lot of reasons in hindsight why it took me so long. One, I was only 17. You don't really have much life experience or what to write about. But some novelists do start very young, but the majority of people have a little bit more life experience. Two, I didn't read any books in high school. As I said, like maybe a couple. And to be a writer, you really do have to be a reader. Now, I find reading around the same time I found writing, and now I read just as much, if not more, than I write. And you learn so much from reading other people's books. So I think I was just behind. You can't really write a book unless you are a diehard reader. You learn, and so I had to catch up on all my reading. The other thing is I was trying to write what I thought I should be writing. So I went to a uni and did a writing degree, again, because I thought, how do you become a writer? Well, I was going to become a teacher, you go to uni, so maybe you get a uni, you become a writer. And there they wanted you to write books like something that might win the Pulitzer Prize or a Booker Prize or poetry. That was fine, but I can't rhyme to save my life, so that wasn't fine for me. Anyway, and so I thought, although at this time I'd fallen in love with books, and I was reading books like Bridget Jones' Diary, books by people like Marianne Keyes, Kathy Kelly, Lisa Jules' original books, which were chick lit rather than crime. And, I was loving all these books, but I didn't think I should write, I just never crossed my mind I should write them, because I was being told, you write serious fiction. So I was trying to write what I call a weird combination of literary chick lit, which A, is not a thing. A, it was probably very, very bad literary chick lit. But it was, so for a number of years I did the writing degree, I did an honours degree, almost failed that. Then I did do a dip ed, become a teacher, but I always wanted to write. And it was when I found the Romance Writers of Australia, which I know Lisa is a member or has been, and I decided to write it. So I decided to write a romance novel out of the blue. I thought I'll write a Mills and Boon novel. I never read one, but I thought, how hard it could be. Everyone says it's easy, it's just a formula. I discovered that it wasn't so easy, and it wasn't just a formula. But this time also, so when I first started to write, Google wasn't really a thing. The internet was just a baby, and you couldn't kind of look up, now we just type something we want to know and got all these, resources. That didn't happen. But then sort of 13 years later, was it 13? No, it was probably more like 10 years later, because it was a while then, I decided that I would write a romance novel, and I just looked up how to write a Mills and Boon. And suddenly I had all this information, including the Romance Writers Australia. I pursued that very seriously for a number of years, got very, very close, but didn't quite make it with Mills and Boone.
Mm.
And then I was ready to give up after my final rejection, because I just thought, I've wasted 13 years now.
Yeah.
I could waste another 13 years. And, I don't hardly see my husband, and I'm, am I the best mum I could be? So I thought, I'll give up. But lots of friends of mine, mostly through RWA, said, and a lot of who just recently got published in Rural Romance, said, you live in a small rural community, write a rural romance.
Yeah.
And I felt like a fraud, because I'm not a farmer or a farmer's wife. We were there because my husband was the supermarket manager and I was the teacher, as you know. But I decided, okay, I'm going to give this one last ditch attempt. And I wrote about the revival of a theatrical society. So drama is my minor. And so I wrote about things I love. And I think that's what's the difference to me. It was stopping writing about what I thought I should be writing, to writing about the type of book I love to read, because I had fallen in love with romance in this time. And also the things I'm passionate about. And there was also an element of timing and luck, which there definitely is in this industry. I finally wrote a rural romance at the time every publisher in Australia was looking for rural romances, so there's a lot of, but yeah, I think that answers your question, Lisa.
Yeah, no, that's a great story, and story of perseverance, and look at where you are now.
I do think you need to be have perseverance, persistence, and also a bit of obsessive sort of tendencies. I've actually got this great badge. It's got a typewriter on it. Said, "Of course, I'm stubborn. I can't remember. Stubborn something and obsessive. These are the traits of all great writers and serial killers."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that's
but
a
then
good
also,
one.
I don't know if you've interviewed her or someone else, but Jane Green, who I'm sure many of your authors many of your readers or listeners have probably read her books. I saw her talk once, and she said that every writer needs a PhD, and I really like this. Not a PhD from a university, but she said you need persistence, humility, and discipline. And I think that's really true. You need to, be prepared to keep going through the knockbacks, and they happen after you've been published too. You have books that don't do as well as others. You have ideas you pitch to publishers and they're not as excited as you would hope. You don't get sold internationally, or various different things. So this, you've got to look past all that and just, keep writing. And my friend Sophie Green always says that writers need a weird element. Is it weird combo of ego and doubt, or something like that? You need to kind of really think, I am good enough deep down, but but then most of the time we're sitting there going, oh, I can't do this, and and I think that that doubt and that sort of imposter syndrome, it compels you to sort of write better, hopefully. But you do need to have an element of ego deep down to continue. Otherwise you just go, I'm not going to do this, I'm just going to go and watch TV or read a book.
And apart from the book that you spoke about, your first book you wrote about accidentally breaking up with your boyfriend, have you got any other books like tucked away that haven't been published?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many, but I'd say I wrote probably up almost 10 maybe before I got published. And so a lot of them were targeted at Mills and Boone, so they're not full length, like in the type of but they're full length Mills and Boone novels. But Mills and Boone novels are about 50,000 words, where majority of other full length fiction is 80,000 to 100,000. So yeah, I probably wrote about 10 different of various lengths. I think I finished most of them, but there were definitely a few false starts and stuff there as well. But none of them will ever see the light of day, I don't think, especially not the first one. But some of the ideas, I wrote one of my Mills and Boones was, or one of the books I tried to write for Mills and Boone was called No Business Like Show Business. And it was set in a circus. At the time, I think actually, I just kept not quite fitting the lines of Mills and Boone, and maybe a circus was a little bit out there too at the time for the lines that I was targeting. But so the book that I put out last year, Outback Reunion, is not at all like No Business Like Show Business, but it is set, there's an circus element. So, I think I might take bits and pieces, things, because they're things that I was excited about writing about. And so, like another one, I had a magician hero, and my granddad was a magician. And, I'd love to write a book that has, a bit of that magic kind of a theme, not like a real magic, but like show magic, show business.
And Nola wonders if you're reading lots of murder mystery detective type books at the moment to get yourself in the frame of mind for your co-authored novel.
Yes. So I've got on my, both Mercedes and I were like, because we're calling this sort of the Thursday Murder Club, but with millennials. So
Yeah.
it's like very similar. There's a group of 4 people, but they're all in their late 20s. And they're all very internet savvy and used to stalking, ex-boyfriends and friends, exes and all that online to see what they're kind of up to. So Mercedes is a bit superstitious and she decided we should have Richard Osman's books on our desk. So I've got them there. I've read them, or a few of them. I'm also quite enjoying James Patterson's The Women's Murder Club
Yeah,
series.
I like that series.
Yeah, there's so many books that I'm trying to read. I've just downloaded to listen on my Audible on the flight. I'm going tomorrow to the Bookshop Detectives. So yeah, I do really love this sort of a little bit more edgy, cozy romance genre. And yeah, I'm trying to read that, but I'm also trying to read all the other books that I want to read. So it's always a quandary.
Exactly. Well, thanks so much for talking with me once again. It's been great. I want to remind people as well that on Valentine's Day, we do have a Valentine's Day date with authors. So hopefully people watching can join in on that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in May. That will be really exciting.
Can't wait. Yeah, no, it should be good weekend, and I'm sure it will come very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, and your new books sound amazing. So looking forward to reading more.
Thank you. I hope so. I'll just keep floating on and hopefully they event one word after the other and hopefully they finish in time.
And thanks to everyone who asked questions.
Yes, thanks everyone.
Thanks. Bye everyone.
Oh, it's getting hot in here.